Good morning, San Antonio and South Texas. I'm Cynthia Lee for Focus on South Texas. You know, we always like to start off with a success story. You hear about nonprofits having a struggle, to make money, to stay in business. But today we are celebrating a success of 50 years in the business. Crosspoint, this is such a great nonprofit. I can't wait for the audience to hear about it. I have here with me Dr. Kevin Downey. He is the CEO of Crosspoint, as well as David Lopez, who is a former client, and he has a great story, so I can't wait to share that with everybody. Let's just get started with the question of what is Crosspoint? Dr. Downey.
Well, thank you. Crosspoint, as you said, we're celebrating 50 years this month. It started out as a mental health transitional facility back in 1963. And it has always been focused on helping people get back to being productive members of the community. In 1972, we looked at what we were doing with the people being released from state hospitals, and the board decided that that same model would work with formerly incarcerated men and women being released from state and federal prisons. And then in '85, the board, in their wisdom, found out that there were an awful lot of homeless veterans in the street, and decided that this model could be modified a bit to help the homeless veterans rejoin the community as productive members.
And I think that's fantastic, because so many times I can see somebody who maybe has been formerly incarcerated, once you get out, you're like, what do I do? And then I could easily see them becoming homeless because it's hard to get a job. Employers always want that background check. And so, David, just tell us a little bit about your story.
Well, I was incarcerated back in '95 and was released in 1998 through the BOP, Bureau of Prisons Federal. And I was released to Crosspoint here in San Antonio. Here at Crosspoint, they kind of had the structure to where it would discipline me to go find a job, teach me how to save my money, to be prepared for some of the challenges in life. And one day when I was coming out of one of these programs, Treatment Associates, it was a drug rehab program, I walked out onto the street and I see this woman walking by with a Bible it's a woman's Bible, and it's something I had prayed for my ex-wife. So I felt kind of odd asking her, but I stopped this young lady and I said, "Ma'am, I'd like to know where you got that Bible from." And I just briefly told her I'd just been released from prison and I wanted it for my ex-wife. Well, she told me where she bought it, and as I was about to walk away, she stopped me and she says, have you found a job yet? And I said, "No, ma'am, I haven't." So she wrote down this phone number and gave it to me. And I called the people up, Metro News Service, and I started with them back in April of '98. I'm still there 15 years later.
Wow, that sent goosebumps down my arm. Wow, that's fantastic. Everything happens for a reason, right?
Yes, it does.
That's amazing. And then you have turned around and employed other Crosspoint grads, right?
Yes. And I started as a sales agent, moved myself on up. Here about 3.5 years ago, 3 years ago, I became a call center manager. So I'm at the position, of course, to help others find jobs. And we have kept the doors open at Crosspoint. I have probably about 10 to 15 clients right now that are presently employed with us from Crosspoint. They're doing well.
Did you find that when you got out of prison, had you applied for other jobs where they turned you away because of your history?
I had applied to 2 different places, and they didn't get a chance to refuse me because I got this job there. One thing I am seeing a lot now that with the people that are employed are trying to find jobs coming out of Crosspoint is that exactly. I had one young man 2 days ago, Monday, came up to me and said, "Sir," I go, "Yeah," I briefly spoke to him, and he says, "It's been really, really tough for me. I just got out. It's been 19 years that I was in prison, and I'm at the point of giving up." And then he kind of looked at me, didn't realize what he just said, and I said, "No, that's fine." We went on with the interview, and he did everything right, read perfectly, so he's now employed with us. there, and I know that made his day.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Dr. Downey, what kind of, I know it's transitional services, but what exactly does that entail? Is it courses?
Yeah, well, there are some courses. It's, as David pointed out, one of the issues with the individuals getting out of prison is finding employment. There's an awful lot of stigma out there regarding employment and housing, for that matter. But we work with these individuals to help them regain support systems, be it their family or somebody else, connect with services that they can use after they leave us, whether that is parenting or substance abuse counseling, mental health counseling. But we do an assessment of need when they arrive and then try to find the right programming to fit those needs.
Have you found with everything going on in the economy and jobs kind of being sparse here and there, I know San Antonio's faring a lot better than the rest of the country, but have you found that it's even tougher to get some of these graduates jobs or get them in the workplace?
Well, there are fewer jobs to go around, but one of the things that people don't understand is that we are an attractive source of employees in some ways, because our residents, the employers can be sure that they're going to show up to work on time. Nobody's going to pretend they're sick.
Right.
Nobody's going to come in hungover or under the influence.
Exactly.
Those things don't happen at Crosspoint. So I think that's one of the things people miss about us. There is an awful lot of stigma, and it's tough to teach people that. But seeing the result of it rather than just hearing about it helps us move from David's personal restoration to making the community restored.
Exactly, yes, yes.
And that's what, it was interesting that you mentioned that, calling in sick, being hungover, whatever it may be, because I figured that some of these employees probably are better than those of us, who just got into the workforce and pulling some of these shenanigans, right?
Certainly
Exactly.
true.
Yeah.
It's almost like a military boot camp of sorts, I guess.
Yeah, we don't look at it exactly like that, but yes.
Like, well...
But
That's great.
we are there to help, and David's story, I think, is a wonderful model of what can happen, and for the community to invest in these individuals rather than ignore them makes all of us safer and stronger.
Do you have kind of some go-to businesses in town that we should honor?
We do. Now, I haven't talked with the employers about releasing names, but
Okay.
Obviously David is one of them. But I would say that Goodwill Industries in the city of San Antonio is nothing short of amazing in terms of not just finding our men and women jobs, but training them to get jobs that are living wage jobs.
That's good to know.
Yes.
And with every nonprofit, there's the question of how do you raise the funds? Because, I know that it's costly to do all the training and everything like that. So how do you guys raise money, and how can the community help?
Well, we rely largely on contracts with various governmental resources. We do not solicit funding too often. We have had our first ever capital campaign to renovate all of our facilities and to acquire another one. And the annual luncheon, the anniversary luncheon that we're doing this month would be an opportunity for people to come out, learn a little something, and then perhaps contribute if they so desire and see that what we're doing is worthwhile.
Well, and also, David, we're running a little bit out of time. What would you say is your message for other people who would like to get in this program, but maybe they feel, I don't want to, not shy wouldn't be the word, but they've just gotten out of prison and they just aren't ready to be around people or deal with anything like that. Have you kind of experienced that? Or when you went through it, did you go through any feelings like, am I really ready to do this?
Well, we didn't have a choice. With the BOP, we're assigned to programs like Crosspoint. And it's so great to have somebody to go to like that. Just real quick example, if I would have gotten out of prison and went straight into the workforce society, I would have been spending my money in other ways. Crosspoint has a structure to where they teach us how to save and get ready for us getting out of the halfway house and go into an apartment complex and go rent an apartment.
I bet you're better at finances than I am. Maybe I need to go to Crosspoint. Thank you so much for being here today. We really appreciate it. And I think that overall, you know, Dr. Downey, you're mentioning you guys don't usually solicit for money. I think more so it's just education, letting people know that you exist. Yes. You know, so those out there who may know someone who needs your services, you're there. So it's Crosspoint. We want to put up that web address, crosspointinc.us, and we will put that graphic up at the end of the show as well. David, congratulations.
Thank you.
And, you know, best of luck with everything. And Dr. Downey, congratulations on the 50th anniversary.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us here on Focus on South Texas. We'd like to put up that graphic information one more time. We first talked with Crosspoint Inc. They provide transitional services for those who maybe just got out of prison or maybe recovering from mental health issues. They help place them back in the workforce. Great organization.